When it comes to goal achievement, what is the most vital aspect of the first step of creation? It is desire, a burning desire to achieve. We're going to examine that closer right now.
As a coach, what is the most important thing for us to consider? You have to start with desire, and you have to see yourself already possessing what you desire. We've talked about this before, but I'm going to fine tune it to help you understand how important this first step is. What precedes manifestation must involve really becoming fully absorbed in what we imagine as our outcome. And in doing that, you really have to get into it. Sensation proceeds or comes before manifestation. Neville said signs follow, they don't precede. So you have to have your desire, visualize that image of your success already in place and live from it. We've talked about that. But today I'm going to emphasize why that's the case and how we can do that better, so that by the end of this video, you'll be diving in more into living from your wish so that it can actually affect all that needs to happen in order for you to see it real in your life and to see it actually manifest. This might be the most important key I'm going to share with you. So give close attention. From Feeling is a Secret, one of Neville's most marvelous books, he said the following: the subconscious never fails to express that which has been impressed upon it. The moment it receives an impression, it begins to work out ways of its expression. It accepts the feeling impressed upon it, your feeling as a fact existing within itself, and what does it do then? From that point, it immediately sets about to produce the outer or objective world, the exact likeness of that feeling. So to have it objectify, manifest, become visible, actually have your goal achieved, right? Actually receive it, you need to have it impressed upon the subconscious first. And to do that, this is why feeling is the secret, because feeling is that emotion that takes you deep within what you visualize. I'm going to help you appreciate that deeper by Neville's further words here in The Power of Awareness. Neville said, you can only know a thing spiritually by becoming it. Think about that. Actually becoming it. He goes on to say, only thinking from it. So how much into that would that be? Whether it involves your career, having that new position, whether it involves finances, already having that money in your bank pocket or in your pocket, right? Whether already living and being with that amazing SP, that amazing partner that you seek, right? Whether it already having the health and fitness, whether it is actually living on a place like I do in the beach, or for you it might be the mountains, or perhaps a city, wherever you desire to be. Actually being there, living in it, takes you into it emotionally. And that really requires feeling it, imagining it to the point where you are it. As Neville said, you must become it. I love the way he illustrates it through a moth. Now, we've perhaps experienced it before, actually seeing a moth fly into a flame, literally sacrificing itself, flying into the fire. Well, picture that while I read Neville's statement here. He says, you must be the thing itself, and not merely talk about it or look at it. You must be like the moth in search of its idol, the flame. He says, about that moth who, spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folding its wings within, until it became one color and one substance with the flame. You can imagine that burning flame as a fly or the moth flies directly into it. Now it says, He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who never to tell returned. And that's from Power of Awareness, chapter 3. So you actually have to be conscious of being it. And this goes back to what I mentioned earlier, is that it's that desire. Everything starts with desire. What do you truly want? And how badly do you want it? Do you really want it, or is it just something you're hoping for? It's a pipe dream, all right? If you really want it, you have to become it here and believe you already have it. So to believe you already have it, you have to get into it. You have to imagine it, right? So if you're in that career, for example, and you already have that place of employment or that career you seek, you're in it. So what would it look like if you were already in it? Well, you would be making a lot more money, right? You'd be getting all the success, perhaps through social media or whatever line of work that you're in. Perhaps in your sales would skyrocket. You'd actually have that success. And then how would it affect your life? How would it affect your life? What would you be doing? Where would you be living? Who would you be with? What kind of traveling would you be doing? What would your home look like then? All right. What type of activities would you not think twice about doing because you could afford them easily, already having the success from that job, right? The career satisfaction, the satisfaction of already having it. So think past just getting it and think about how would it affect your life. And that will bring you back every time to say, you know what, it's worth the effort. Going into it every day and every night in my imagination, following all the other steps of meditation, study, and contemplation, and feeling that you already have it, using the meditative steps which I gave you and I'll give you again, which are so key to bringing it to life subconsciously. And that subconscious is connected to what? To everything that brings it about. It's connected to that director that has to make that choice to hire you. It's connected to that future SP, that beautiful person that you want to be with. It's all connected, but it starts and springs from that desire. You have to go back to that desire and actually make it real to yourself. Further, here's another key point for you. From the chapter 6, Attention, Neville said, and speaking about attention is a forceful in proportion to the narrowness of its focus. When it is, yes, actually, when it is obsessed with a single idea or sensation. Remember, sensation precedes manifestation. We talked about that a few minutes ago. It's steadied and powerful, focused only by such adjustment of the mind as it permits you to see one thing only. For you steady the attention and increase its power by confining it to that objective and putting yourself into it again and imagining and living from it. Okay? So this power of visualization gains power through repetition. You must go back to it and believe it often. As Neville says, therefore, when you know what you want, right, what you desire, what it's going to look like, what it's going to do for you, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of your wish fulfilled until what? Until that feeling fills the mind. I love this. And he says, and crowds out all other ideas out of consciousness. So people get hung up on that terminology of letting it go. Neville rarely used the terminology letting it go, but he spoke of crowding it out, not leaving place for it anymore. So if you're constantly filling yourself with what you want to be thinking about as concerned receiving and manifesting your desire and what it looks like, and that you already have it, and you do this daily, guess what there's going to be no more room for? All the negative inner speech, all the negative things that tell you, you know what, I don't see my manifestation yet. I don't see my good come to me yet. You'll put that aside because you'll be so focused on the fact that you have it. And then everything else, as Neville says also here in The Power of Awareness, everything else simply happens. How does it happen? It happens as a result of you following step 1 first, right? Which is remembering always that manifestation follows sensation, right? So signs follow. They don't precede. They don't come before. You actually have to believe it in, believe it true, see it, repeatedly until it becomes natural for you to know that you're going to receive it. You actually do reach that point where you actually know. So before I was able to live here on the beach, I knew it was going to happen. I knew without a doubt that I would have this life. There was no doubt. Remember, you can see my previous videos on it. I did this during COVID when no one was even supposed to be traveling, right? But I knew it was going to happen. So a series of events unfolded. The visa, the travel, the money needed, everything happened in order for me to move and live on the beach. It all happened because I believed it first. So that's really what I'm encouraging you to do, okay? So again, further, just to drive it home and see how you can apply it in your life. Neville puts it this way. He says, surrender yourself completely. Surrender yourself completely to this feeling. Until when? Until your whole being is possessed by it. So can you imagine you're so obsessed with something that it actually possesses you after a while? Now you might think that extreme, but let me ask you again. How badly do you want it? Is it just a hope or a wish, or do you really want this to happen in your life? Okay, that's when you will find yourself really getting into it, because we know the steps of desiring it first, right? Then visualizing how it will be after it already is yours. And then thinking from it and taking that into your alpha state meditation. Those are the 3 steps in a nutshell. But where do they start? They start with a keen desire, because if your desire is only mamby-pamby, if your desire, your hope for something is only, casual, it's not going to happen. You actually have to desire it with the intensity that motivates you to be able to go back every day and go back to it. Even when you've been slapped down, told no, and it looks like it's not going to happen. Again, I get a kick out of it as a coach when people say, I've been working on this for weeks and I haven't seen any movement. Weeks? I meditated for months before things started to gradually unfold for me to live on the beach. I actually, it took me a long time to manifest the woman that I'm with, who's ideal, okay? So there was patience involved, but I never stopped going back to my imagination and really seeing it as already mine. And the great thing was, as I've said in my video about manifesting love, everything happened exactly as I had pictured. I met her on the beach, actually this beach. She had all of the 16 qualities that I had written down and visioned as already mine. And then it happened. Is that too much for you to do? No. Not at all. But you need to go to that place and you need to become that in order for it to happen. So, didn't want to keep this too long, but I wanted you to understand that really taking a hold of your desire and examining yourself. Write it out, take a notebook and write down. If I already had this career job, how would it affect my life? What benefits would there be? What would I receive from actually having it? If I actually had that relationship with that other person, how would I be conducting myself? Where would we be traveling? How would our love be? What would it feel like? What would the touch be like? The hugs, the relationship? What kind of sweet communication would we be having with each other? Go there. Yeah, actually go there. And then once you're there, you think from it because you're in it. And you think from it, right? Again, go back and watch my video on visualization for that. But these are all the keys that start with one thing: desire. Knowing exactly what you want and knowing that spending time there and seeing it as already real is key for you actually having it.